To begin, our proposed budget is balanced, and it totals $6.3 billion. That's a $470 million increase over our current budget. This increase will enhance our focus on our most vulnerable residents. It will break down barriers to success for those in or at risk of being in the criminal justice system. And increase investments in neighborhoods for programs like treatment of mental illness, substance abuse, homelessness, and expansion of our capital program. So how are we going to do this? Let's look at a few examples. First, a focus on our most vulnerable residents. We're tripling funding for substance abuse treatment through Drug Medi-Cal. We're increasing spending to help the homeless through Project One for All, while expanding our investment in affordable housing. We're initiating new programs to help those with serious mental illness and focusing on community transition services and alternatives to detention. Second, we're increasing our investment in neighborhoods with several capital projects, like multiple park projects across the county, a new Mount Laguna Fire Station, a complete renovation of the Probation Center in North Park, a new juvenile justice campus in Kearney Mesa, a new Southeastern LiveWell Center, and a new County LiveWell campus on Rosecrans Street that will include an assessment center and transitional housing. At the same time, we're increasing employee salary and benefits to reflect negotiated labor agreements while continuing our practice of setting aside money to pay our long-term pension obligations. Our budget consists of two main funding sources. The largest source is called program revenue, which is over 70% of the budget. Program revenue is generated through certain program fees, but the majority is provided by the state or feds to offset the cost of county-administered programs. Program revenue must be used to deliver specified services. The other source of funding is known as general purpose revenue, which your board decides how to spend. General purpose revenue is tied to local property taxes through year-over-year changes in assessed values. In our $6.3 billion budget, $1.3 billion is funded by general purpose revenue. That's about $120 million more than the current year and assumes a growth in property assessed values of 4.75%. General purpose revenue spending will increase across all our business groups, and consistent with your board's priorities, the majority of it is going to public safety. However, it's worth noting that next year's general purpose revenue allocation to Health and Human Services is increasing by over 50% to support the Drug Medi-Cal waiver program and affordable housing. Next year's budget proposes 17,581 staff years. That's a net increase of 167 staff years over this year. Driving these staff increases are some of the programs we've already discussed, like Drug Medi-Cal, affordable housing development, law enforcement support for mental health programming in jails, and to help counter juvenile delinquency and gang violence. County parks programs, land development services, maintenance of county roads, and sanitation and cleanup projects, as well as support for county libraries and facilities maintenance. These increases are offset by decreased staffing in the Department of Animal Services that reflects the end of city service contracts as of June 30th. So there's an overview of our proposed budget. Now let's take a closer look at the people we touch with the tax dollars we spend.
There is a lifestyle that comes alongside of substance abuse and the using. And the support that I had was for a criminal lifestyle. And I guess that because of my drinking and using, that's what I was used to. I didn't know anything much different than that. It was much easier at that time to continue living a lifestyle that was detrimental to my health and society. I found myself incarcerated. I found myself really, really hopeless, isolated from friends and family. And as a result of that, it was a really dark place for me. When I was in the county jail system, there was someone that was there that came alongside me and began to provide me with resources to help me make some more healthier decisions about my life. And so I was introduced into a county funded program where the counselors there kind of came beside me and gave me alternative ways of viewing why I was doing what I was doing.
Turning Point Home is a long-term women's recovery home. It's been around since 1970, and our primary focus is to help women learn how to get and stay sober long-term. And the women that come here typically come here because there's no place else to go. They've burned bridges, their family potentially isn't talking to them, they're either homeless on the street or homeless on a couch, and it really is the last house on the block, and they come here broken, and we sort of help fix them.
People with addictions often do not seek services because of the stigma. Sometimes people just aren't there yet to acknowledge how it's impacting their lives. But day in and day out, what we're seeing is through our outreach and our support, through providing more services to these individuals, we're able to have people see that there is hope.
It made me feel special and cared and loved about. You know, your family is supposed to do that kind of thing, but having someone from the outside step into my life that had a clear understanding of substance abuse was pivotal in my turnaround. It feels simply amazing to be able to provide that sense of hope for women who were just like me, who simply did not know there was an alternative way to live.
Absolutely, the best part of the job is seeing somebody who comes broken recognize that they're not broken anymore.
My name's Amy, and I was at a very low point in my life. I had lost some family members to death, and I was taking some prescription pain medication to which I had become addicted. I had gone into a local store and I had a lapse of judgment and just started to take some things off the racks. I was confused, my judgment was imbalanced, and I made a mistake that day. And I looked and looked and looked for work, and I just ran up against closed door after closed door. It's so hard to try to build yourself up again, both financially, psychologically, and then to move forward.
When we're trying to assist our clients on adult probation, it's important that we think about the barriers that they face. If they have some sort of a blemish on their record, how do we work to maybe expunge that charge with them? If they have a fine or a fee that's preventing them from taking the next step to financial freedom, how do we look to reduce that or even waive it if possible?
The Fresh Start program was launched 1 year ago. It's designed to provide post-conviction relief for our clients. So after they get out of custody, after they've completed their prison term, their probationary term, we try to reduce barriers for them. You need a place to live, you need a job to feed your family, and if you can get reintegrated better into society, the recidivism rate will drop dramatically.
With his help, my case and my felony were dismissed, so I feel thrilled about the possibility to pursue career paths that were close to me.
The probation department has really focused on adult and adult reentry for a number of years as part of AB 109. And so we have developed a great model for helping folks who are in custody transition back into the community and successfully not reoffend. We're doing that same thing with juveniles. What we're doing is taking some of that formula and applying it for the best outcomes for our youth. And this includes providing services and support both in custody and out of custody.
He made me feel redeemed. I felt redeemed in the courtroom that day. And it's given me a lot more self-confidence, which I've begun to lose.
I was on a ride-along. We visited a family. We called ahead, and the family, surprisingly, had ordered pizzas and welcomed us in the home for dinner. These kinds of relationship buildings build trust, and if we're going to be a trauma-informed system, then what we have to do is start opening ourselves up to hearing from the community and our clients on ways that we can improve, and taking those ideas and incorporating those in the way that we're doing business.
To see this turnaround is really great. It's very, very rewarding.
Very difficult to start again, and I don't believe a person should be defined by one negative mistake that they've made. And I believe programs like these can help people feel once again as though they're a happy, productive part of a community.
I think we started to think about owning a home probably before we even got married. What's frustrating is that even though we both have really good careers and we're both teachers, we still can't afford to save as much money as we need to put down for a house.
It's also very discouraging. We've had conversations where we're thinking about, well, maybe we'll go out of state or maybe look
Out of city or in a different county.
We got approved for a loan fairly quickly. However, when we're looking at the figures, it's definitely like out of our reach.
And it's not like we're looking for something that big. I'm looking for a 2-bedroom, and even then, it's not something we can do right now. I don't even think about a home anytime soon.
So we recognize that a wide range of housing types are needed to fill this missing middle housing gap. More housing like duplexes or attached homes are needed. The county will work towards increasing housing production by making the process smoother, quicker, and less costly. We can also update our community plans to incentivize a wide variety of housing production in existing villages within the county, and try to identify where it's occurring and where it's not. And if it's not occurring, to identify the reasons why and what's inhibiting the production of housing.
The world sometimes isn't very supportive when you're down at that stage in your life. If you've got trauma in your background, if you've had experiences where you've lost a job or you had a health emergency, it really changes your path. And the county is responding to that in several different ways. One response has been the creation of a $25 million trust fund. What that trust fund does is it allows affordable housing developers to compete for those $25 million and create affordable units for our most vulnerable populations, seniors, veterans, emancipated foster youth, working families. Without a stable living environment, people can't address their housing needs, their educational needs, their work needs. By creating stable housing environments, families can thrive and can achieve the goals that they're hoping to achieve.
I had a stroke September the 15th, 2010. And it kind of like semi-paralyzed. It took all the motor skills away from me playing basketball. And I was still active in the military when I had the stroke. When I retired, I realized that my body wasn't the same anymore. So I decided to coach it. Go. Good job, good job. Come on, there you go, push, push. Good job. Ready, go. Come on, come on, come on, push it, push it. Oh, oh. That's what I'm talking about, good job. Coming from Chicago, I didn't have all of this growing up. We had black tops, a lot of hard tops, but none of this. This is beautiful. So any way that I can help, I'm gonna do that.
We have incredible volunteers, and we really look at volunteers being that backbone of how we operate our parks and how we interact with the public. We couldn't do it without them.
I love it. I love it. And then just the gratitude and everything that I get from the parents, letting me know how they really appreciate it and I know how sincere they are. That's the reason why I do it. Some parents have told me the kids' grades are improved and they get better because they want to practice. It makes me feel good, like I'm part of that. I'm watching them grow up, just like my third year, and I'm just watching these kids get better and better.
We have volunteers that come out, and even after their children are done, they come back year after year, season after season, because they want to be an impact, not only to parks, but in people's lives.
I have videos of kids telling me thank you and how they appreciate me in every little way. Those little things right there matter to me.
Thank you, Coach Name, for being my coach and for being the best coach in my life. And I hope you're my coach next year.
This is the best experience I ever had. I'm so glad I volunteered. And every time they call me to do something like this, I'm always there.